Welcoming a precious new baby home can be one of the most exciting, loving, and memorable moments in a couple's lifetime. But here's what they don't tell you. That baby and its brain is virtually designed to ruin your relationship. I think most people have an idea that when a baby comes along, things change. But most new couples underestimate just how taxing that new addition can and will be.
I didn't realize having a kid was this much work, so that's why I said I don't want no more kids. It's a lot of work. I didn't know it was this much work.
Over 60% of married couples reported feeling totally unprepared for the huge impact that having a baby would have on their lives. More than half of all couples report arguing more frequently, and a fifth of married couples don't even make it to their baby's first birthday. You can almost triple that number for unmarried couples. Sociologists, which have been studying marital quality since the 1950s, say that this transition to parenthood is one of the top factors that hastens marital decline, even among relatively happy couples. Like, seriously, just get a dog. No, but seriously, there is hope, and much of it lies in your awareness and preparedness. Simply knowing what to expect is half the battle. Neuroscience shows us that any expected stimulus has much less of an impact on the brain than unexpected ones. And empirical evidence proves that when couples are simply aware of what turbulence is to expect when baby arrives, they fare much better than couples who don't. In this brain snack, find out the top postpartum pitfalls that new parents find themselves in, as well as how to come out on top together. For survival reasons, babies are unbelievably sensitive to the emotional ecology into which they're born. And urine and blood samples prove that they can tell when their parents are fighting, even before they're 6 months old. So why are parents fighting? Well, I can guarantee you that the number one reason will not surprise you at all. Sleep loss. Those circadian rhythms that are baked into our brains and govern our patterns of sleep and wakefulness, they don't apply to newborns. That part of their brain simply hasn't developed yet. So sleep and feeding times are randomly distributed throughout the day for at least the first 3 months. And though most babies do acquire some sleep schedule by 6 months, the majority still require some nighttime intervention well past their first year. This means that parents who take an average of 60 to 90 minutes to fall back asleep after tucking their crybabies in may go weeks, even a full year, without getting a full night's rest. The social, mental, and cognitive consequences of the sleep deprivation cannot be overstated. When parents don't get enough sleep, they're far more irritable the next day, typically suffering a 91% loss in their ability to regulate strong emotions. Cognitive and problem-solving abilities plummet to 10% of their non-drowsy comparisons, and even motor skills are affected. You simply aren't yourself, and certainly not your best self when you're sleep deprived. On the contrary, the meanest, nastiest, dumbest you tromps around your home and your job, ramming into every conflict and argument in your path, handling them with about as much grace as a Babirusa boar. These conflicts and the resulting hostility can be so severe and seem so ceaseless that they destroy the connection between two people. Most new parents underestimate the gravity of this sleep change and just how much strain it can and does put on post-baby relationships. But you watching this brain snack, you are officially not most parents. So now that you're aware, prepare. Personally, my two biggest suggestions are: 1, for sleep, find a way to tag team, be it daily, weekly, or some other system that suits you both. And 2, fortify your bond by strengthening your communication skills. More than any other time, both parents will need to be intentional, extra, about patience and empathy, about communicating with love, and listening with understanding. Sleep deprivation will make all of this really difficult. But if you practice enough and make effective and empathic communication at best a reflex, but at the very least, the standard in your relationship, it stands a much better chance at weathering Hurricane Baby. Number 2, social isolation. Another unfortunate result of the energy crisis that awaits new parents is how incredibly lonely it can all be. Studies show that parents complain more about loneliness than they do about sleep. And it makes sense. No one around you is as stretched and tired as you are. No one can fully relate to the sleepless nights. No one comes around after the first few weeks. No one calls. No one cares. No one helps, at least not nearly as much as you need them to. And as you struggle to be a halfway decent parent, the furthest thing from your mind is being a decent friend. So, not surprisingly, many parents, and especially mothers, come to feel trapped and painfully isolated. About half of all new mothers experience this temporary postpartum sadness, while as many as 15% spiral into the overwhelming anxiety, moodiness, and misery of postpartum depression. And again, not surprising. After all, human beings are inherently social animals that thrive in the presence of other human beings. Modern-day parenting puts us out of whack with some of our most basic survival instincts, like socializing, self-preservation, and just getting enough sleep. So what do? You prepare. Now that you're aware, enlist your troops and enroll in multiple support groups. Establish and foster the relationships and social expectations that will be critical to your success as a new parent. And if one of your good friends or family members is about to have a baby, join their support army. Their health, their relationship, and their baby's brain literally depend on it. So for example, my brother and his girlfriend just had their second son. Shout out to Kyle and Kobe. Well, my mom has graciously volunteered to take on their first son for a few weeks as they adapt to the new baby. This is the kind of support that you'll need to find early and sustain throughout your parenting journey. Do not be passive about this, and don't think that people just gonna line up to help you out either. Be proactive and have those necessary conversations early on. Now, I hope I don't ruffle any feathers or poke any daddy sharks with this one, but the third top driver of life and relationship dissatisfaction after stork drop-offs is uneven workload. Matter of fact, in each of the categories that I've mentioned so far, sleep deprivation, social isolation, and workload, women are the ones that bear the brunt of it. This was true 50 years ago, and it remains true today. Yes, dads do take on more childcare than they once did, but even in our so-called egalitarian society, the playing field is far from level. Women spend more than twice as much time physically caring for children than men do. In 2020, they carry out 70% of all household tasks, which increased threefold with the arrival of a new baby. The lack of contribution is so significant that having a husband actually increases the amount of work that a woman has to do by 5 to 7 hours per week. They give up jobs, promotions, and work hours much more so than their baby daddies. And statistics show that it doesn't really matter if she's a stay-at-home mom or a working mom, or how many kids the couple has. Women virtually always do and sacrifice more when kids are involved. Now, this in part explains why the majority of postnatal hostility starts with the woman and then spreads to the man. Because we tired. That's all. We just tired. Most relationships will suffer at least a little once baby comes home, but the evidence suggests that mommies do the majority of that suffering. Now, Lord knows that I cannot fit all of the data and certainly not all of my opinions about the archaic gender norms that men and women, moms and dads of today stuff themselves in. All I'll say is, now that you're aware that this is an issue, prepare for this being an issue. Strive to make things as equal and as easy for each other as possible, which is a great segue into the last and final reason that new parents fight and break up more than everybody else. They're not having sex. Breastfeeding, vaginal dryness, vaginal reconstruction, her entire body's reconstruction, out of control hormones, identity crises, lack of sleep, lack of energy, lack of motivation. Oh, and not to mention an entire sobbing, farting human being smack dab in the middle of you both each night. There's so many factors working against you and your sex life during that first year. Don't fall into the trap of being surprised by this. Expect it. Now, a small percentage of couples do experience a sort of honeymoon-like boost in sex drive after baby arrives. But the majority of couples, and again, especially women, struggle to find the time or get in the mood for sex. And this is a top driver of marital dissatisfaction during that time. Now, this isn't a biological accident. It happens for a reason. In another Brain Snack, I detail some of the hormonal and neurological changes that occur in both moms and dads after a baby and why they occur. For now, just know that biology isn't working in your favor, at least with regard to your sex life. So psychology is going to have to do the trick until it does. According to Swedish psychologist Malin Hansen, who's been studying this transitional period in parents for years, sensuality is the key. Being intentional about emotional and physical contact, that is, lots of hugs, kisses, staring in each other's eyes, and talking throughout the day, even more than you did before you had the baby. These things can definitely revive intimacy and get them juices flowing. Oh, and men, take a page out of Cornell University's study that found that men who do more housework have more sex. In relationships where housework and childcare are distributed more equitably, that is, men doing 40 to 65% of the housework, those women reported significantly higher levels of relationship satisfaction. And those couples had sex many more times a month than the couples where women did more than 65% of the work. Just saying. So in sum, your bundle of joy seems biologically designed to tear you and your love apart. As your patience thins and your chore list doubles, your sex, sleep, and social life may all suffer that first year. The key to surviving parenthood and saving your relationship is knowing what to expect. So now that you're aware, go prepare. If you found anything interesting or useful in this video, if you learned something, please like and comment and let me know what that thing is. If you think someone else will find it useful, especially a new parent, share your snacks with them. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next snack time.